Hello, everybody. We're back, and we're actually rebranding this podcast. And Mitchell doesn't even know about this yet, but we're going to call this the Summit going forward. So we're kind of trying to bring everything under the new coaching platform, I guess you'd say. We're going to call it the Summit. We're still going to roll on with a podcast. We're still going to roll on with a blog. And as you know, I've started coaching people one-on-one, so that's been fun as well. So we're still going with contracting. Our marquee sponsor, of course, is Turner Builders. So keep us in mind for all your contracting needs. We're sitting here today with Lisa Petruccelli. Okay, she owns Train Your Inner Athlete, and we're here in Westbrook, Maine. We're right here at her facility in the Westbrook Community Center. We thought we'd come down and just chat with her for a bit about what she does, kind of how she got here, what she's bringing to the table to the community fitness-wise, and just kind of get her thoughts on what she thinks about things, say post-COVID or with an aging population, or kind of her thoughts on where to go from here if you're just trying to get off the couch and do some things. So anyway, Lisa, thanks for joining us today. I really appreciate you having us in. This is a cool place. I've come down here and swim in the pool a lot, but never been right in this room. So kind of good to connect with you and see you. I know my mother comes down here and works out, so it's kind of cool for me. And I know you and I have coached a lot of the same athletes over the years, so it's cool. So thanks for coming on.
I appreciate being on.
Yeah, well, tell us a little bit about yourself, your background, and kind of how you landed here.
Well, I'm a collegiate soccer coach by trade. I did it for 25 years. And in 2018, I decided that I didn't love walking down to the field anymore, and I needed to figure something else out. And conveniently, in 2012, I had been asked by the city of Westbrook to teach a class for Andy Kinslow, actually.
Okay,
he was stepping back a little bit.
Yeah.
And so,
I remember Andy. Yep.
Yep. So I taught a class for him in the evening, and I explained to them I had to leave because soccer season was coming.
Right.
And so they kind of wanted me to come back, and they pushed. Maria Huntress was determined that I would come teach a class. So I told her, all right, Tuesdays, Thursdays, 5:30 a.m. That's it. That's what I got. And 4 people showed up on October 16th in 2012.
Yep.
And by 2014, they could have had 50 people in the room on a Friday when we did a family day.
Wow.
It was unbelievable. And it's settled back down a little bit now.
Yep.
But most mornings I have about 20 people in the gym at 5:30. We're there 5 days a week while we're in the pool on Monday morning.
Yep. Well, I've seen, when I swam here, I remember walking by this room and seeing people in here, and kind of always been like, I wonder what they're doing in there, but then see them in the pool as well.
Right. And so when I decided I didn't want to coach anymore in soccer, I still wanted to coach.
Yeah.
It's what I do. It's who I am.
Yeah.
And so I was able to create the business because I had already had the name, and the class was my name. And in 2019, the city asked if I would take over all of their fitness, which I did. And then COVID happened in early 2020, which changed everything a little bit.
How did COVID affect your business, and particularly being able to come in here?
Yeah, so I actually did okay. I had been a partner with a company called Juice Plus, and I had used Zoom before.
Yeah.
So on Sunday morning, I had a young woman teach a pound class, and on Sunday afternoon, I decided we should not be here tomorrow based on everything that was happening.
Yeah.
So Monday morning, I canceled the pool workout and my Move It class, and Monday afternoon, I held a class online.
Wow.
So I pivoted in a day, which I think was tremendous. So I did really well for the beginning of COVID, and then I think we just all got tired of being online.
I've always said that the only good thing that came from COVID is Zoom. Yeah. And I mean, it was probably around before COVID.
It was.
I didn't know what it was.
It grew for sure.
Yeah.
And I think I got people from away, players that used to play for me came online. So that was super fun. But by May of last year, I was done doing hybrid. I did hybrid for a while because not everybody was ready to come back.
True.
But I like the energy when you can focus on the people in front of you.
Yeah.
And
no, it's definitely different.
It helped me know that online fitness was never going to be my jam either.
True.
Like, I don't want to stand in front of a camera by myself and put it out there to the world. I want to interact with you and check your form and help and support you. So.
Well, what's the kind of the demographic here? Is it young? Is it old? Does it run the gamut?
It runs the gamut. I actually probably, because we were doing this, got to thinking, like, what is my target demographic? And they're always saying you've got to know it to market. You don't know your target demographic.
Your avatar.
So I paid attention, and on Monday, the youngest person in that class was 42 and the oldest was 90. And then on Tuesday, the youngest was 35 and the oldest was 73.
Yeah.
So it really is the gamut.
Yeah. Wow.
So for me, my target demographic is people who want to move and want to be a part of a group that's going to support you, and
Okay.
doesn't matter what level. I mean, we have a common athlete who completed an Ironman.
Yeah.
And then I have what I consider to be the first athlete to try and motivate us. She had wanted to do a 5K. And we did a pretend 5K here before she did her first race. And everybody did it and cheered her in. And, you know, so I have somebody who's never run a race before
Cool.
to someone who can complete an Ironman.
That's awesome. So what specifically is a program or your schedule, or what is the offering here, if you will?
So I offer classes at 5:30 Monday through Friday. I offer a class at 9 a.m. Monday through Friday. And I offer a class on Monday, Tuesday, and Thursday at 4:30 in the afternoon.
Okay.
I also have a yoga instructor who comes in on Thursdays. I have a new woman who's going to offer a dance class that's coming in on Thursdays.
Oh, neat.
I had a line dancing person for a while. So I also pull people from the outside to do some things that I don't do.
Well, that's good.
I'm much more, strength, fitness, wellness. If it requires any choreography or coordination, it's not going to happen in my world.
Yeah.
So I think it's just kind of that aspect of coaching.
Well, how do you handle it when you got somebody that's, say, 42 or even 35, and then somebody over here that's 90? They're both in the same class.
So it's really based on what the class is. So I say in the 5:30 a.m. class, I design the class to push really hard, and I'll modify down.
Okay.
And on Monday, Wednesday, and Friday, that class used to be called Silver Cardio. I didn't like the name.
Yeah.
Because it made it seem like you had to be old to come.
Right.
And I don't really think you're any older than you think you are.
Right.
So I renamed it Move It. And in that class, it's all low impact.
Yep.
It's not designed to be jumpy or hoppy. But if I have someone younger who wants something harder, I tell them how to make it harder. And I mean, you get injured, you need modifications.
Right.
And so
Yeah.
I do my best to kind of retain, okay, he's got a bad shoulder, she's got a bad knee, she can't do lunges right now.
Yeah.
And so I just try and keep all that in mind. So I think because I'm a coach first, I wasn't trained as a fitness instructor. So I don't do the workout with them except for the 9 a.m. on Monday, Wednesday, Friday where they want to see me.
Right.
But even they're getting used to me saying, keep doing what you're doing, and I go wander off and help somebody. Because I think that is something that can get lost, certainly for me, to do the workout and watch people isn't going to happen.
Well, I know some personal trainers, and they're trading time for dollars, so to speak, and they're working. They have 7 clients in a day. They're working out 7 hours a day.
Yeah.
And it's just no way to keep up with that.
No.
So it's good you've identified that kind of early on. What would you say to somebody that's maybe sitting on the couch watching this, and they're thinking about doing something, they'd kind of like to get, maybe have 3 times a week, maybe they're retired, or maybe they're not, maybe they got a busy lifestyle. Well, how do you get somebody to come through the door?
I think that's actually the hardest thing to do, is to get somebody to start. And I think this group does it a little bit. Sure. Because they'll find out you're sitting on the couch and that you're thinking about it. And so one of them's going to reach out and try and coax you in a little bit. And I really try and get people to understand that just do something. So maybe you're not ready to come here yet, but you brew your coffee every morning and you do it the hard way in a French press. That's 4 minutes. You could do squats and you could march in the kitchen. Instead of just sitting back down for those 4 minutes, move for 4 minutes in your kitchen. So I think that's the other aspect, is maybe they're not quite ready to walk through the door because they're terrified.
Right.
Okay, start moving at home and see how that feels. So the first one's free, because that sometimes is a barrier. I don't want to pay for something and I don't know what it is.
Right.
So the first time they come to one of my classes, it's free. And sometimes that's just enough, because really, I don't know how it happened. I'd love to take credit for it. I can take some credit for it, but I don't know how the community of trainer and our athlete became what it became.
Well, I was just going to touch on that. You really, I like to say sometimes, I've done community building, whether it was with 207 or with Ironman training and all that, but you've truly built a community here.
Yeah, they so this behind my head it says Tribe, and they wanted it that way because they wanted to be tribe, but they also wanted it's their triathlon flag.
Yeah.
And you were at one of the races. There were 2 people in our group racing, and there were 28 of us cheering somewhere on the sideline.
I've actually been the grateful recipient of her tribe cheering me on in an Ironman when I needed it the most, and I was hurting that day.
Yeah, they rally for something somebody wants to do, whether it was that first 5K. They went to Savannah for somebody who wanted to do a half marathon, and next thing I knew, 15 of them were going to Savannah, and okay, I'll come.
Yeah.
Conveniently, my soccer team didn't do as well as we would like, so I was available. But
well, there you go.
Yeah, trade-offs.
Yeah.
And they're headed. So one woman just signed up for. It's called the Mammoth March, in Hingham, Massachusetts, in a state park. It's 20 miles of walking. It's not supposed to be loops, but I'm not convinced it won't be. And so she asked a coworker to do it with her because she wasn't sure anyone would want to do it. We are 32 people deep right now for June 10th. And it's still getting bigger.
Yep.
So.
Well, it's cool. And that's kind of could be some of the appeal of somebody joining this too, knowing that, whether you get an accountability partner or a training partner, misery loves company sometimes, as they say.
Right.
But what do you say to somebody that's doing nothing and wants to start? Can they come here and then do it at home?
So I have a woman who just signed up for some wellness coaching. That's something else I do. I offer a monthly plan. And she was going to sign up for a gym in Saco. She lives here because she's got little kids, and they had daycare at 4 o'clock in the afternoon where she could bring her kids. And when she finished the conversation, I said, so I don't actually think you're going to go to Saco with your kids at 4 o'clock in the afternoon, because that sounds horrible, and I don't have kids.
Right.
And I said, so we need to create something that you can do right in your house with your kids.
Perfect.
And go from there and get you on track the way you want to do. Because honestly, consistency matters far more than intensity as you start building your wellness and your fitness. You can go hard for 3 days and drink water and not eat a single thing that's not a whole food. But if you spend the next 4 days the complete opposite of that, you're actually probably farther back than you were if you just stayed steady half and half. So I think that if I can help people do a couple things every day that are directed towards what they want to achieve, then they will get to where they need to be.
Talk a little bit more about the wellness coaching. What is the program? Are you meeting with people weekly? Or are you just designing a program and sending them off? How does it all work?
Yeah, so it's going to bury me eventually, but it's designed for what people need. And so I found a program called Nudge Coaching, which is just a platform. And I create the cards and the information. And so I build, I built in 30 days of recipes. And so every day they can get a recipe if that food is what they're worried about. And so I really sit with everybody 1 hour in the beginning of the month to say, what do you want? And how do we do this? And what are your goals? And I conveniently wrote my master's thesis on goal setting. Lots changed since it, but it gave me a good basis. So I use that. So and I have another person who's training for a race, and so she wants a racing plan. So some people want a food, health, and nutrition plan and how to move plan, and some people want the other. And I just kind of fill what they need and want, but try and have a pattern within that platform. So
I've heard it said that, people think that it's 80% gym, 20% nutrition, and I always say it's 80% nutrition and 20% gym.
Absolutely.
What would you say to that?
We have to move. So as long as we're talking about gym and an intense, hard fitness workout, absolutely. I think as we age 40 years and over, strength training has to be in there. So that has to be your 20% in the gym. Is some kind of strength training. But I always say you can't outrun the fork.
Can't out-train a bad diet,
right? Same deal.
And isn't it funny how you justify everything? Like, I hit the pool this morning. I'll grab that Boston cream.
Well, and I'm the first one to say, I do this so I can have a cookie.
Right.
But it's not reality.
But the other side of it is, too, is that people are looking to you for wellness advice. You got to kind of be in shape.
Right.
But
I think there's a little bit about me that I'm more like them.
Yeah.
So yes, I'm in shape and doing okay.
But you have the same struggles.
But I
Is that what
do
you're
have
saying?
the same
Yeah.
struggles. And
Yeah.
I will forever remember the response of one woman in Savannah. I got 2 cookies on the outside. I swear the thing was this big.
Yeah.
And she could not believe
That you would do that.
I bought that.
Yeah.
She's like, you eat that stuff too? And all of a sudden I was real. Like before then I was this intimidating,
Yeah.
fit. I can never be like her. And all of a sudden it was like, oh, she eats ice cream.
We had a guy.
Sandwiches too.
We were out in Arizona. It reminds me of a story. We were all training, biking up the mountains every day, and we had to pour calories in at night.
Yeah.
So one of the ways I was doing that was with a family-sized pizza. You know, just like this, we were just housing a pizza. And the guy that was with us, Mike, said, I can't believe that you're putting that in your body. I said, Mike, that's the fastest way for me to get 4,000 calories in. I'm probably going to go over there and eat a DQ after this. And the next day, I outbiked everybody because I actually had fuel on board, you know.
Right.
And he was like, you know, just didn't have enough because what we were doing was pretty crazy stuff. But, yeah, we do eat that kind of stuff from time to time, you know, and I fight those same battles, you know, and I think some of it's genetic, and then other is, you know, just how your brain works. You know, sometimes people eat for comfort. Sometimes it's, you know, you and I, before we turned this on, talked a little bit about stress. Talk about that for a minute, how that affects people.
Yeah, I think it's actually something that we don't recognize as much as we need to, is that stress impacts hormones, hormones impact sleep, sleep impacts more hormones, all of it impacts whether you can move, how your body processes food, how quickly, whether insulin's too high, insulin's too low, and that's just the quick and easy hormones.
The other thing you said is it changes.
It does.
Like, it's not the same at 40 as it is at 50 or 60 or whatever.
Yeah, and at 20 you can outrun the fork a little bit.
Yeah.
You can burn off some of it. And I think, honestly, like, how do we know? Like, the watch is not right. It's not right.
No,
how does it know that I burned 238 calories so I can go eat that thing that supposedly is 238 calories?
Only to break even.
But let's face it, that thing's calories were predicted in a vacuum in a lab, not in the human body. So the calories aren't even right. They can be upwards of 50% wrong.
Yeah.
So if that thing is 100 calories, it could be 50 or it could be 150.
Right. Yeah,
so
exactly.
You just can't.
Well, I think that
you can't rely on calories in, calories out anymore.
Right.
You need to think about all the other factors. And I believe there's 6 aspects that people should really consider. And movement is definitely one.
Yeah.
Nutrition is one. And I separate water out because I think people just don't realize how valuable it is. And our bodies are so composed of water. And every cell functions with water.
Yeah.
And then I put in sleep. And then I call it restful play or playful rest. Something that you do that is challenging to your brain, possibly challenging to your body. My husband decided a year and a half ago or a year ago that he wanted to learn how to play the mandolin.
Okay.
He's never played a musical instrument. He can't read music.
Must be painful for you.
Nope, it's great. He's getting better every day. The dog sometimes howls, but otherwise. But again, or for some people it might be painting, or for some people it might be rock climbing because they're an accountant. They sit in a desk all day.
Yeah.
And so they get out and do something. And so it can be anything, but to learn something where your brain's active and your body's active. And then the final thing is, did I say sleep? I don't think I said sleep. Sleep. So I'm missing, community.
Yeah.
To have a social community.
People like to have something to identify with, I've found, you know, and that's, they you know, whether it's buying the t-shirt or wearing the sweatshirt, getting the hat or whatever, they're part of a tribe. And, you know, they look to find that and identify with it. And I think it's healthy, you know, in a lot of ways, you know.
And I think it's a support system you don't know you need.
Right.
We started in tribes. I mean, we evolved in a tribe.
Right. Good point.
And then somewhere along the way, we became far more isolated.
Yeah.
And then you take COVID and we became completely isolated. And even now, people working at home a lot are not in contact. So some people get up at 4 something in the morning to come here at 5:30. Only to go home and sit at their desk, but they come here to
I've got
to
stuff.
interact and see people.
I've got equipment at home, and sometimes I drive the 25 minutes over to Foley's.
Yeah.
Because I just want to I want to see people, or I want to just interact, or say hi to Mike, or whatever. And and drive back, and then now that's done. That's where that
Right.
lives, you know. And I always say, no matter what happens the rest of the day, they can't take that away from me.
Yeah.
Right?
Right.
You've got it done. I find that if I don't get my stuff in by noon, the probability drops off by at least 50% that it's even going to get done.
Well, and I say to them sometimes, I'm like, I gave you my fitness time because I've always been a morning fitness workout human.
Yeah.
And so that is probably the hardest thing about me running this business and doing my thing is
Giving up your time.
is not, and not scheduling it like it's important. I'm really
Right.
good at telling you.
Right.
You need to put that in your calendar as a meeting and you need to stick to it.
Yeah.
Someone walks through the door and they want 6:30 a.m. when I plan to work out. It's money or my workout, money or my workout.
Right.
And, you're
Yeah.
trying to sustain a business.
Well, I went through
Sometimes
that.
you give it up.
Yeah, I went through that last year with the contracting where, things were stressful. We're coming off COVID. Material prices are up. Subcontractors are juggling jobs and doing some things. And it was a very stressful time. And I found that, the first thing that would go out the window,
Your workout.
my workout. And then and then one day I'm at the doctor and they take my blood pressure and it's sky high. And I said, what happened here?
Yeah.
So, Mike will say, well, stress doesn't have any calories. Okay. But cortisol can mess you up in a good way, in a bad way, and not getting sleep. Then you're not drinking enough water and you're
Right.
just getting up and just all of a sudden just mainlining coffee and saying, well, hey, got to grind. Because that's the new thing to do is grind, right?
Right.
You're not doing life if you're not grinding.
Not doing it.
Yeah.
Well, and exercise
Right.
is shown over and over and over again to help you sleep,
Yeah.
help you think more clearly,
Yeah.
do more productive in a shorter amount of time. So why not do it? And
The other thing is like doing what you love too, right? Like
Yeah.
we had this discussion out here before we started, which we were talking about me just getting into coaching and doing this podcast, and these are the things that I love. I like contracting, I like building somebody's addition and everything, but this kind of stuff really fills my cup. So if you're doing something you love, that fuels you too. When somebody walks out of here from your place and they've lost 20 pounds and their blood pressure's down and they're not pre-diabetic anymore or whatever, you got to feel good about that.
Absolutely. And I think that is the part about those races or those wellness things that continues to fuel me is helping somebody. And that truthfully is part of why college coaching probably became the thing I didn't want to do anymore.
Right.
Because when I started, recruiting was probably 30% of my job, and the rest of my job was helping young women get graduated and figure out what they wanted to do
Right.
with their lives and, grow up a little bit.
Yeah, listen, we're not probably going to be making a living at this. So
I still needed to do all that stuff, but now 70% of my job was probably supposed to be trying to find the next kid
Right.
to make the team better. And,
Sure.
and it just changed. And I couldn't find that same satisfaction of helping somebody,
Right.
which I can find here.
Yeah.
So
What about, I find a lot of people will start and stop, right? Or they show up, and let's just take New Year's Day, for instance, where, hey, I'm
I'm
going to
booming
do
right now.
Yeah, booming. And you know as well as I do, that tails off.
Yeah.
How do you keep those people going and keep them from quitting?
I think one is a little bit of attention.
Yeah.
Goes a long way. And so sometimes it's just, I noticed you were missing. And that's the great thing about this
Just a
group.
little text or
Sometimes it
something.
doesn't need to be me even.
Right.
It's somebody else, like, hey, where were you? We haven't
Right.
seen you this week. Are you okay? They really do check on each other.
Yeah.
So I think in some ways they help with that.
Yeah.
But yeah, and it usually is a text or a phone call because, I don't know, the mass email that I can make my computer generate somebody who hasn't come in the last 30 days. I can send a generic email to.
Right.
But that's not what brings somebody back.
Pick up the phone or say,
It's
hey,
that
I
you
noticed
noticed
you
they
weren't
were
here.
missing. Yeah. And sometimes they need to move on.
True.
And
Yeah.
I would say I got lucky. When I first started doing this, I was a City of Westbrook employee. They paid me to teach these classes
Right.
until 2018, when I took it over. And so it was a different attachment when someone walked away.
Yeah.
And I didn't take it personally.
Right.
So I had that basic.
Yeah.
If I had just started this business and people were leaving, what am I doing wrong? What's going on? What can I
Right.
do better? I must be failing them in some
Yeah.
way. And yeah, sometimes that's true that the match isn't right.
Yeah.
But most of the time, if any of us think about how many diets we've done in our lifetime, how many different fitness places we've gone to in our lifetime, how many years we thought running was the key, and now we decided that, strength training, like it all changes for all of us for all sorts of reasons. And when this grew, and originally so many of those people, and they were predominantly women. I have far more women than I do men. I think that's common in fitness classes anyway.
Sure. Yeah.
But they were moms just trying to squeeze it in and see each other without any of the rest of the stuff in their life.
Yeah.
And I still have some of those people now coming in that are the new age of the moms doing it. And I still have some of those that are now, their kids are well on their way. And
your regulars, the steady eddies.
Yeah. I have one woman who's been with me from the get-go.
Isn't that funny how that in any program there'll be that one or two people that are like the furniture.
Yeah.
They're just there every time.
Yeah.
You don't have to worry about them.
But, and I just think about them as a group. I said it about the races, but Katahdin.
Yeah.
You've talked about Katahdin a couple times, and a woman asked, do you think I can climb Katahdin for my 50th birthday? And I truthfully think anyone can do anything if they really want to.
Right.
If they have the means.
Right.
We can figure out how to help make it happen.
Yeah.
And somewhere along the way, her bucket list item became somebody else's bucket list item.
Right.
And off we went with two different groups, because you got to keep your groups a little bit smaller climbing that mountain. But there were a pile of us that day, and it took us all day.
Oh, yeah.
But every single person in that group got to the top, and we were lucky. It was bluebird sky, and I mean...
I think I've only had one time up there where I had to put my raincoat on at the top.
I've only been twice, and I'm 50%.
Yeah.
So the first time, I didn't know that there was a cliff right behind you at that sign. No idea.
Yeah.
Yeah, so...
Yeah, I'll probably take some groups up this summer. I'm looking forward to it.
That's cool.
I really get a lot out of, I had both my parents up there. They were 65.
That's great.
It was kind of fun. We got toward the top, and my mom was walking up, and I just backed off, and watched. I'd be able to watch her watch up and touch the sign. It was really cool. I spent an hour and a half up there because my dad came up the other way, so we had extra time.
Okay.
And he did Knife's Edge, and so it was a bluebird day. We
just
sat and just hung out. So good memories,
Yeah, and I think just being a part of somebody doing something like that is fulfilling, and creating a group support that helps that happen is...
I get a lot out of that. I know you do too.
Yeah, absolutely.
They say the plumber's sink always leaks. How do you take care of you when you're taking care of everybody else?
I don't sometimes.
Yeah.
And so I got up again this morning and was like, I have got to go to bed earlier. Sleep is probably why I harp on other people so much about sleep, because it's the thing I know I need to do more of.
Yeah.
But for the most part, I think... you can look around where we are, and there's books everywhere.
Yeah.
I'm constantly trying to learn and read and do. And so I think that is a piece of it. So the way I start to do it is by, I need to know. I need to learn. I need to understand.
If you're going to direct others.
I need to get it in my head so that I can really comprehend its value.
Mm-hmm.
And then sometimes I rope somebody else into holding me accountable.
Yeah.
Probably was only 3 weeks ago now, my brother has been trying to get some of his stuff going, and he said, I'm 3 for 3 leaving the firehouse. I'm slinging some weights around.
Good.
And I wrote, I'm 0 for 3 this week. And so he now comes on Tuesday mornings and really works out by himself because he needs to leave before I'm done with class.
Yeah.
But just the fact that he showed up means I do it.
Yeah.
And on Friday mornings, we work out a little together, even though we're doing our own thing.
That's great.
But it meant when a woman came in and needed that time recently, I wouldn't give it up because he was in the gym.
Right.
And I might have if he hadn't been.
Yeah.
So I think a little bit for me is that I just need 1 or 2 people to know what I'm trying to do.
Yeah.
Because I have to have some accountability too. I think everyone does.
Well, and I think that, and I've just realized this in the last year, because I think of myself as a giver, and if somebody needs something and calls me, I'm going to help them, right? But I think that, you work on yourself, you feel selfish. Right.
Yeah.
And because you're putting someone else off, but I think that it's a delicate balance where you can say, okay, I'm gonna do me here for a little bit so that I can be better at helping you.
Yeah.
So it's really selfless.
Right.
Right.
Yep. And I tell them to do it all the time.
Yeah.
So
exactly.
Take my own advice.
Right. You don't want to take advice from somebody that's not taking care of themselves. Right. So you have to do that. You got to fit it in, and it can't be like go hard here all day, then go home at night. And, like they say that you take something that you love and make it your work, you never work another day in your life.
Right.
Can also make you hate your work.
True. Because you
hate your passion,
Yep.
right? So, I mean, you've been doing this a long time, whether it's with coaching collegiate athletes or now working with, young and old in here on a one-to-one or group basis, but you're still doing it and you're still finding a way to stay invigorated with it.
Yep, absolutely. And I think it's the energy too.
Yeah.
And I don't know, if I was working at a desk job, would I be taking any better care of myself? I probably wouldn't.
Right.
I probably would have a different issue. At least here I get to move every day to work.
I wrote something the other day where I actually felt like, because of what I take from everything that I do, I actually felt a little selfish. Like, am I really doing this for me?
Yeah.
So
Maybe,
wow.
a little bit.
Probably.
I mean, they say the author writes the book they need to read.
Yeah, good point.
So.
Yeah, I like that. So I got a couple more questions here. What's your definition of healthy?
Somebody can move freely about their day the way they want to, live their life without significant pain, and are able to enjoy the things they want to enjoy. Yeah. I think I watch the population, and we are currently an obese society, and we're not going to come off that easy.
Right.
And I think that health is turning the corner a little bit to recognize that just adding another pill does not necessarily solve the problem. It happened during some of the racial awareness, but I heard someone say, when are we going to stop letting them fall in the river and pull them out?
Right.
Instead of helping them not fall in the river.
Right.
I don't think it's that different in what's happening in our health right now. And so, the whole foods and learning to eat things that are 6 ingredients or less, and that you can pronounce them all and you know what they are, and get back a little bit to where we were.
It's a real shame that it's more expensive to eat right than it is to go to the dollar menu.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I think we're also a little bit convinced of that.
Yeah.
And I think that if we could step back a little bit, we could also discover that we can do a little bit better even on a tight dime.
Right.
Maybe not quite the way we want to.
Right.
But that, beans and rice is still one of the most complete proteins going.
Yeah.
And so I think that we sometimes forget that it doesn't have to be complicated and 1950 processed foods were introduced.
Right.
And so you and I are part of the generation where the convenience of all those chemicals entered the world. And so now you're another generation away. I mean, it's evolution's slow.
Yeah.
But genes are being modified. Epigenetics is out in the front of things. And, and I think that's the other key is somebody will say, like, well, it's just, you even said it might be genetics. And that is, we have our genetics, and our genetics are a part of it. And there are doctors right now demonstrating that, genetics is more to our obesity than we think it is, that children born to obese parents are most likely to be obese, and that it is genetically connected as well as environmentally connected. But we also have this whole epigenetics where you can turn things on and turn things off if we know how to do it or what to do. And I'm convinced, I drank the Kool-Aid, whatever you want to say, that the microbiome is where they're going to start coming out. And, they're 10 years into really getting it out there, but we're 5 years into hearing about it a lot. And I'd say we're 1 year into them really kind of flooding the gates with, here's how you improve that. And here's what happens if you improve that.
Right.
And here's how to do it. And
then there's always the thing about, well, I've always been big, or whatever. But but you just went through the drive-through. So that was a choice.
Yeah.
Right? So sometimes a little bit of just discipline and hard truth is like, no, I don't eat that anymore.
Yeah.
I don't do that. That's not what I do. And having the right mindset around it
can
turn things around. Sometimes it's just as simple as, hey, put down the Monster drink and let's not have that 2 or 3 whiskeys a week or whatever. Get rid of the alcohol or whatever.
Well, and I've heard you mention James Clear book, Atomic Habits before, but what identity? What is your identity?
Right.
Like, what do you want to be?
Yeah.
And if that's what you want to be, then go ahead, drive through there. But if you say you want to be healthy or you want to lose some weight, you have to create the behaviors.
Do your habits and disciplines match your goals, right?
Absolutely.
Sometimes they don't,
Right.
Well, I'll tell you what. I'll ask you this: if somebody only had 20 or 30 minutes a day, 3 times a week, what do you think the best way for them to spend it is? Age aside.
Anything that will help them increase their muscle strength.
Okay.
We lose that age 40 going forward, and so that impacts everything from your ability to process sugar to your ability to move. So I don't care if they're air squats in the kitchen and counter push-ups, or whether you got some dumbbells in the basement. If you can't squat, can you get up and down out of a chair?
Yeah.
Whatever the case may be, I think it can be body weight, or it can be that you can pop into a place and get 20 minutes of workout.
I do, like if I go into a parking lot, I park far away just because, or if there's, it's funny, you can go into the town hall, there's a little ramp there or stairs. I always take the stairs because I can. It's just a mindset thing. Like there might be a day I can't, but today's not that day.
And I would challenge them. They have more than 20 minutes.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly.
We all have more than 20 minutes.
They say an hour is 1/24th of your day, or so, and like if you can't fit something in, then
But I think also, mom of 2 kids at home, trying to figure it out.
Yeah.
One's napping, one's not.
Right.
Then maybe you don't have 20 solid minutes.
Right.
But you probably have 10 2-minute intervals. Go ahead, have at it.
Right.
I think that we need to get out of.
Modify, adjust.
Yeah. I mean, I'm a college athlete coach. We have a 2-hour practice.
Yeah.
Why did we have a 2-hour practice?
Right. I don't know.
Because I always did.
Double sessions.
There was,
yeah.
But there was definitely kind of that, like we get in this mindset that it has to be an hour.
Yeah.
Or it has to be, this long or whatever. And it doesn't.
Yeah.
And, even just parking further away, walking up the flight of stairs is going to make an impact.
Right.
If I tell you to eat a handful of M&Ms every single day, you know that that's going to have a negative impact.
Right.
If I tell you to do 2 minutes of calm breathing, you tell me it's not going to do anything.
Right.
Why?
Yeah.
Why won't the healthy thing, even for a tiny bit of time?
It's not sexy.
Yeah. But we think the negative things will definitely have a negative impact. But the positive impact can't possibly change this.
Right.
Why not? Of course it can.
Yeah, limited mindset, I guess, on that. But, well, it's been a great conversation.
Thank you very much.
How do people get a hold of you?
So trainyourinnerathlete.com is the website, and trainyourinnerathlete@gmail.com is the email.
Okay.
And then my telephone number is even on the website.
And you're here, again, at 5:30 a.m., Monday
through Friday. Yep.
Okay.
And 9 a.m. Monday through Friday with a class, and then class at 4:30 on Monday, Tuesday, and Thursday.
And you can sign up online.
Yep, and I do a ton of training at other times in and around those, and the wellness coaching is on the clock whenever. And I think Saturday mornings is another great time to meet us. We are at the Daily Grind at 7:30 in the parking lot to go for a walk or a run.
Nice.
We have everything from a mile to whatever my husband says he wants to run. I have it at least that long.
Yeah.
So, and we meet here on Tuesday nights, and those are free. Hit the Road is.
So the community, that's the community part.
Yeah, just come and go for a walk.
Maybe that's a great way to start.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Absolutely.
Come down, get introduced. I know a lot, like I said, we've had a lot of the same athletes and people
Yeah.
that we've worked with, and always speak highly of you. And I had, when I first started doing the podcast, a couple people, was my mother. You need to talk to Lisa. Get Lisa on your podcast. And so we got going, and then you reached out the other day with some comments, and I said, you know what, let's do it. So I'm glad we did. This has been great. Guys, you got to move, okay? If you want to be healthy, you got to move. Here's a great way to do it. She's right here in Westbrook, Maine. Check her out, Lisa Petruccelli, Train Your Inner Athlete. Want to thank you for watching yet another episode of the best podcast in the world, now called The Summit.
Name.
Yeah, exactly. And I want to, as I always do, thank Mitchell Powers from Powers Promotions. He's growing his business. He's hanging with me on this. He's recording these so we can put them on YouTube and bring them out to people. So if you've got questions and you want to get a hold of Lisa, trainyourinnerathlete.com. You can check her out. And we hope you'll check us out at Turner Builders, www.turnerbuildersllc.com. Check out Mitchell. He's easy to find out there on the interwebs. And yeah, that's it for now. Thanks for watching, guys. Take care. Thanks, Lisa.
Thank you so much.